Would you like to play a game?
Hey, welcome to my part of the Legend of Zelda series. This is Beasts of the Overworld. One thing that I really love about the Legend of Zelda is just all the different variety of creatures. Heck, the Zelda games entirely, like they have all these really amazing creatures, and many of them, if not most of the main bad guys, have their roots in the original Zelda game. So I was thinking about doing like some kind of flow through, like I did with the Mega Man games. We kind of have a little bit of kind of showing the play by play with everything. But I was thinking, really, the thing that's so interesting about it is this isn't a guide. This is to be fascinated about the Zelda games, to learn about the lore, to enjoy the Zelda games. So, or other games too that I'll be doing. I'm Conrad, by the way. Yeah, so yeah, just enjoy. I'm just going to kind of show you the beasts of the overworld of the Legend of Zelda. So, first, right off the bat, I give it a nod, right, to all these characters you see right here. Mega Man, Metroid, not Mega Man, sorry. um, Mario, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Princess, Zelda. All of them are created by pretty much this guy. I know I say Yoshi, I don't count. But by Shigeru Miyamoto, like he's just the man, right? He's created all this stuff. He is the Stan Lee of video games in a lot of ways. He stayed with the company for years and years and years. I think he's like 65 now, something like that. And he's made all these different characters, and he's sort of kept Nintendo consistent throughout. There are his kind of ideas, no matter what the graphics, what the thing. The game's got to be fun. It needs to be playable. Like if you don't have that, it doesn't matter what special effects you have. Koji Kondo, this guy is the musician of all the Zelda games. He's awesome. Like he has just some of the best music coming out of the games, and probably some of the most distinctive. When you think of Nintendo, you think of Zelda music. Yeah, really great. Also, the director, right? You can't forget him, Iji Aonuma. Miyamoto later recruited Anima to join the development team for Zelda. Blah blah whatever. Yeah, it's like stuff I read on the internet. So let's go. Let's. So he also helped with Ocarina of Time, right? And yeah, he's a great guy. He's also done Wind Waker, etc. Just looks like a nice, friendly guy. So basically, we have like three pretty nerdy looking, but pretty great little Japanese guys that have, I don't know, affected my life and affected other people's lives. So there's the gang. Now, hey, let's get to the meat of the issue, right? Let's look at some characters and creatures. So right off the bat, we got the Octorok, right? This is some of the original artwork from the Zelda game, from Legend of Zelda. These guys kind of come around, like, one hit kills them. But they sort of show up in all the different games, the blue and red ones, whatever. Yeah, yeah, they're great. And they're in pretty much every game except for Twilight Princess. Also, when you first show up, if you go to the right in the Zelda game instead of going up, that most people do, one of your first guys you fight is actually a Tektite, which is pretty much like a spider. The little spider guys. They'll show up in most of the Zelda games too. They're impossible in the Adventure of Link to beat. Just never quite figured out how to beat the blue guys in the Adventure of Link. They always would whip me, right? The goats of Zelda, they show up in all the time, right? These guys called Leevers, they just sort of spin around, come up from underground, and kind of attack. Yeah, they're common in most Zelda games. They're mostly in the desert. That's kind of their deal. Then we got the Peahats. I always kind of liked these guys because they would sort of they would stop moving, and that's when you could hurt them. But most of the time, they would kind of float, and they'd be running around and float and kind of fly. They look like little windmills, basically. They're like a windmill bad guy. Yeah, yeah, they're called Peahats. When we got Zora, these guys become they're actually Zola in the original manual, but whatevs. They're misnamed, and then they've been kind of called Zora ever since then. And they're in pretty much every 2D Zelda game. In the 3D Zelda games, they're sort of replaced by sort of C Zoras, like Ocarina of Time, that kind of stuff. Which those are very different. These are a little more battle-y ishy kind of stuff. They're more like the river fish. of the Zora gang. So the kind of go-to whatever guys of Ganon, right? They even sort of resemble Ganon. I guess they sort of said that they're more bulldoggy in the original, but I still see Pig, right? I still see Pig face in this guy, and they're definitely like minions of Ganon. I mean, they even look like Ganon, you know. They're usually often portrayed as like idiots in other games, which isn't entirely fair, but they're totally the red coats of of Ganon's minions for sure. Moblins. These guys are the honorable knights. These guys are pretty much the Armos. They're like the honorable knights of the. And what they'll do is they just stay still, and you kind of have to like touch them, and then they'll start attacking. Sometimes they're slow, sometimes they're really fast. They sort of evolved, even though their kind of idea, their stone statue has been the same. They've evolved and changed dramatically throughout the games, and they'll kind of have different looks, at least through them. But they'll still sort of have that same essence. Now Ghini, right? I never quite understood how this guy kind of worked because I saw the picture of him with like the scary mouth and the eyes, and then I would kind of look in the pixels on the right, right? And I kind of see what he looked like. I'm like, wait, does he have something on his chest and like that's his face? He's running around. He doesn't really even look like a ghost, really. He's just, I mean, he's blue and white. I guess the color combination. If you look at the little picture on the left-hand side, it sort of makes a little more sense. But yeah, they're Ghini, they kind of show. They kind of make the way for Poe, which I think Poe are cooler than the Ghini are, but that's just my own opinion. Whatever. Speaking of cool, Lynel, I think this guy should be in more Zelda games. He didn't really show up a whole lot. I think he starts as the coolest in the original Zelda game, although he does show up in Link to the Past. And yeah, he's just sort of like a cool, like, half horse, half lion head with like a sword and shield. I mean, you could make like a Game of Thrones movie about this guy or something, like just something awesome. So I don't know, just like him.